So today we are heading towards chapter 15, the yoga of a supreme person. So in the last couple of days, we discussed two aspects, the main two sections of Bhagavad Gita. One was Karma Yoga, one was Bhakti Yoga. So chapter 1 to 6, it talks about, Karma Yoga. Chapter 7 to 12, it talks about Bhakti Yoga. That's part of devotion. So today we are heading towards chapter 15. So I'll make a quick review what we discussed in a couple of days. So in chapter 13, we discussed about what is a real wisdom, that we're not this body, we are soul, and Krishna is a supreme knower, right? And then in chapter 14, we spoke about the three modes of material nature. So we all know that we are all are influenced by three modes. We spoke about mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And the takeaway message is that we have to transcend ourselves to the mode of a Vishuddha Sattva Guna, that is mode of transcendental, right? That is possible by devotion to Krishna. So then it is very easy for us to overcome this birth, death, old age, and disease. So today we're heading with the chapter 15, titled as the Yoga of a Supreme Person. So four things we'll share: home or hotel, the spiritual world, caretaker, essence. So this chapter has totally 20 slokas. So let us make this class more interactive. So all of us be very active in your chat and also the polling so that we'll make it more colorful. Hare Krishna. So now I have this question. That imagine someone goes to an occasion, checks into a hotel, goes to a hotel room and starts painting the walls, putting new furnitures, and trying to remodel the bathroom and hanging his family photos. It sounds foolish or it sounds nice? It sounds foolish, right? Because what's the value of making such an elaborate arrangement just for temporary stay? We're going for a hotel maybe for 1 or 2 days, and what are we doing? We're painting the wall, we're keeping the furnitures, we're remodeling the bathroom. So why am I saying this example? Because this material world is like a hotel room where people keep coming with a lot of big plans and they want to enjoy themselves. But eventually, when the time comes, when the kala comes, we are forced to leave that place. Right? That's why I gave the example of a hotel. Now I have a question for you. How do you understand this concept? What does decorating hotel room like your permanent home represent? Making big plans in a temporary world. Yeah, exactly right. Yes. The first verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, it says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Adam Shakham Aswatam Parir Avyayam Chandasmi Isya Parnani Yastam Veda Savidavet. It says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is a knower of the Vedas. Wow. What a Lord Krishna is explaining this. He is comparing this material world to a banyan tree. Very huge, has a lot of branches. But what is he saying? He's saying that you know uh, the roots supposed to be down, but they are up, and the branches supposed to be up, they are down. So Krishna says that this world is like a tree with the roots upward, that is spiritual source, and branches downward. That's a material reflection. So if you want to find a real peace, we must go to our back to our spiritual world, the spiritual home, that is spiritual world. Okay, I'll make you understand how it works. Let's say there's a man who is search of a gold. There is one drainage water. There is, there he finds gold. So this guy jumps into that drainage water. He struggles very hard to find the gold, but he couldn't reach it. So when sadhu was just going this way, a sadhu, he said, what are you searching for? So he said, I'm searching for gold. See, the gold is not in the gutter. It's a reflection. It's in a tree. You look at the tree, the gold is there. You have to climb the tree and take the gold. Not that you keep searching on the gutter, you will take the gold. Now, why I give this example is because we all are running around this dirty world, material world, looking for happiness. But the real joy or treasure is in the spiritual world. So this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So pay attention because this is the first verse of chapter 15, and it's going to make a big difference if you understand this analogy. That this material world is a reflection of a spiritual world. So now my question for you is, what does the gold, the dirty water, represent? Okay, I'll put this question on the screen. Maybe you'll able to answer them. Okay, one moment. Yeah, the question is there up on the screen. What does the gold in dirty water represent in Krishna's teaching? Like whatever we are teaching now in Bhagavad Gita, what do you mean by? Okay, I think many of us are giving the right answer. It is B, the right answer. Illusion of joy in the material world. So we are all trying to construct. We are all in a holiday package. Let's say we went to Disney World. Okay, and we have got some accommodations to stay there. So what are we doing there? We have to just stay for one day, one night stay. Tomorrow we have to leave. What are we doing? We're going to the Disney World. We're going to that nice cottage, water facility. They're going to stay there, and we're trying to paint that wall. We're trying to put the family photos. We're trying to clean the bar. What are we doing? It's a temporary, So there's no need to do that. Just go, sleep, and in the morning just leave that place. That means that place is temporary. So this material world also is a place of a misery. It's a temporary world. That's why we have to leave. And here Lord Krishna is giving a very amazing example. Okay, I'll end the poll. Yeah. So he's saying that the tree, with the roots upward, and the branches downward, is referring to that, a spiritual world. And down the branches are there. It's a material function, material reflection. So, okay, I'll give you another example. Maybe you will be able to understand more better. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm sure you're looking at the mangoes. Okay. Reflection is not a real, but it's an option to the existence of reality. The experience of the physical world and its diversities indicates the existence of a true spiritual world. Okay, I'll explain you what does it mean. See, this material world is just a reflection of the real spiritual world, like a shadow or a mirror image, not the real thing. Imagine, there is a mango tree near the lake. You can see now the reflection of the mango on the water, right? You can see that. It looks real, but you can't eat the mango. Why? Because if you want to enjoy the real fruit, you can't just jump in the water and get the mangoes. What you should do? You should climb the tree and not jump in the water. Because though the mango is reflecting in the water, that doesn't mean that you jump and get the water. You have to climb the tree because the mangoes are up, not down. Right? Similarly, this world looks very enjoyable, but it is just a reflection of the spiritual world. Because real happiness is above, not in the bottom, it's in the above. So Krishna is saying that the tree with the roots upward and the branches downwards. All right. So if you want to really find the peace and joy, we have to go back to our original home. That is the spiritual world. Because this material world is like a hotel. It's a temporary. And our real home is with the Krishna. All right. So now I want to conclude saying that when we follow the path of bhakti, it's easy for us to go to our real home. That is a spiritual world, which is real happiness. Now, my question for all of you is, what is then our real home according to Bhagavad Gita? The spiritual world with Krishna. Yes. Here is a very, very funny slide. There is a king on the throne, and that's a dog. How do we free ourselves from reflection? Okay, I'll explain you how it works. I know it's a little complicated. It says actual position, detachment to attachment. What does it mean? See, to become free from the reflection, we must first understand our true identity. What is it? I'm not this body, I'm soul. I'm not this boss. Who am I? I'm a servant of the Lord. Remember, when you're Das, you are Bindas. If you're not Das, you want to become boss, then you're udas. All right. Because if you're servant of the Lord, then you feel very happy. So we should know that I'm not the boss. I'm just a servant. But right now, we all know husband serves wife. Wife serves husband. And sometimes husband and wife, they both serve children. Like for example, let's say in a job profile, workers, they work very hard to serve the boss. And sometimes even the boss want to serve the workers. Still, none of them are fully satisfied. Why? Because we're trying to satisfy other people who are also incomplete. That's why the true satisfaction comes only by serving the Supreme Lord. And that is the source of everything. Sarva Karana Karanam. I think I told you this when I was working in the Microsoft. People ask, why did you quit the job, sir? Such a high salary paid. You've been paid 2 lakhs per, not per annum, per month, and that was when 2003. But now you left the job and you become like a monk. What's happening? Actually, I'll tell you, when you get the higher taste, you give up the lower taste. So when you do devotional service, when you are engaging your senses in the Lord's service, what happens? You get satisfaction. You feel very satisfied, happy. So here we're saying if somebody is trying to serve others, he still says do more. Why? He's still not satisfied. And that is how the material world is like that. That's why I'm telling you, when you serve the Lord, you become very happy. You become satisfied. I'll give an example. If someone offers you, let's say right now you're working and you're paid some very less salary. Let's say somebody is offering you a better salary, a better job, permanent job, a very good salary, and you'll happily leave. You'll also given a house. So what do you think? You will be happy to leave the current job. Why? Because one thing is they're paying very low and it's temporary job, but this is a government job, right? So how many of you think that if I give you an offer to you that you work in my company, and it's a government job, I'm gonna give you 10 times more than salary what you're getting right now. Plus, I'm gonna give you a house. So how many of you willing to say, okay, I can leave the current job because it's low paying? How many of you say yes or no in the chat box? If you ask that question, I will say yes. Because if something I'm getting more, I will definitely go for it. So what do you think? Okay, I want to see all of you what you are saying. Yes, definitely. Yes, all of us will say yes because we're getting high salary, right? We're getting a permanent job, and there's a job security. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Wow, I love that. I see a lot of people are giving the answer. Okay, so in the same way, we should also understand that how wonderful is this spiritual world. Once we know this, then it's very easy for us to detach from this material world and go for a permanent one. So what I'm trying to convey here is that, if everyone thinks, that I am the boss, but actually we are not the boss. Even the dog, thinks sometimes I am the boss. I'll tell you how. You have seen that, right? Sometimes some people take the dog and go for a walk, right? In the park all. Suddenly, if the dog passes a loo, passes a stool, the person who's taking care of the dog, he's supposed to clean that place. Right. What does it mean? The dog thinks, see, this guy is serving me, and wherever I pass stool, he is cleaning. That means I am boss. It's a false pride, right? I don't know in India, but when I was working for the US, we have this culture that, when you take a dog for a ride, and if dog shits somewhere, if you don't take it immediately, then the cops will come and they'll put you penalty on that. That is where we have to take the full responsibility. But dog is thinking he's taking me for the ride, but still, I'm been given so much of care. That means I'm only the boss. That's what is going around us right now. So we should know that this is just a false pride. But the truth is, God is our real boss, and we are His, true servant. If you understand this, then we can live in a very happy and simple. We can live very simple and happy life. So my question for you is, why are people still unhappy even while they're serving each other? They're serving others and they are incomplete. Of course, somebody says they expect too much. That's okay. But ultimately, why are they expecting too much? Because they are incomplete. I'm going to take you to a different world now. Trust me. Because in the last couple of days, we've been talking about Bhagavad Gita. Today, we'll speak about something out of the box. What is that? We'll talk about the spiritual world and the material world. So, towards my right side, you see that Brahma Jyoti, one universe. What is that? That's a material world. And towards the left side, it looks very blossom, like it's like a lotus, a lot of colorful things. That's a spiritual world. And let's say in the chart, I have specified material world and a spiritual world. Now, see, material world is what we are living right now, which is temporary, full of problems. It keeps on changing, But you can see even the planets, the sun, moon, stars, all the 14, planetary system, but nothing is permanent because they keep on, changing. Do you remember I told you one sloka sometime back in the couple of chapters? Remember I said, "A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Ma Upidayatu Kaunteya Punar Janmana Vidyade." That means from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all places are a place of misery. Birth, death, old age take place. But if you want to attain my abode, then you have to come to the spiritual world. You remember I was explaining this in material world, nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. But even in that material world, starting from the upper planets, Satya Loka, Tapaloka, Janarloka, Mahaloka, Swargaloka, Bhuvaloka, what do you say, Bhuloka, till to the lower planets like Atala, Vithala, Suthala, Talatala, Mahatala, Vasutala, Patala, whatever, all this if you go, the suffering is there. That is A Brahma Bhuna Loka. Suffering is there, and even Brahma also has an expiry date. Even he has to, say goodbye, Tata, one day, because he also has to die. Okay. The spiritual world is like a Goloka Vrindavan. It's like a Vaikunta. You know what is Vaikunta? Vaikunta means there is no Kunta. Kunta means anxiety, stress, depression. So something which you don't find that is called a Vaikunta. It's eternal, full of happiness and never destroyed. And there we can live with Lord Krishna very happily forever. All right. Now, my question for you is, okay, before I ask this question, I want to let you know that life in a spiritual world is very blissful and there is absolutely no anxiety. Now, why am I saying like this? Because Gita, Krishna is saying that na tat bhashate suryo na shashanka papavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. He says the supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Couple of days back, there was a power off. So the call got disconnected. Again we got connected. Right? That means power went off. But what's so special about spiritual world? In the spiritual world, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. Why? Because the Lord Himself shines, and from His body, the ojas, the light emanates. So there is no need to depend upon a tube light. No need to depend upon a electric fan. Nothing like that. And there's also a wish filling trees. We say as a kalpa vriksha. Whatever you desire, you get it in the spiritual world. All right. And also cows, yeah, Surabhi cows, yeah, exactly right. They are very pure and they give you milk which is limitless, not limitless. There's no end for that, right? But here, to get the cow milk, oh my God, make a big circus because nowadays people are adding some powder, and they are mixing and they're getting milk. Even if you go to the places like where they get the milk to the shops, what they do is they put the machine in the udder and they forcefully take the milk with the blood, right? That is not pure milk, and also very hardly we get pure milk because everywhere they put so much of water, it's like very very less chance that, we get a very hygiene, very energetic, very plastic milk, So that is what is available in the spiritual world. Surabhi cows, they give it endless milk. And then there are many Lakshmis who are trying to serve Lord Vishnu. Just not one goddess of wealth, many. And of course, we can also see that, one of the best part is once you go there, you will never like to come back again in this world, because this world is Dukhalayam Ashashrutam. Matlab, sufferings keep coming. You try to avoid, again something new will come. All right. That's why it's like a dreamland, but it's real. It's not just, it is a real, For that, we have to just do only one thing, do devotion. Then the more real than the world can go there. That's why it's very important if you do bhakti. Remember the four things I told you? Chant Hare Krishna mantra, do Tulsi worship, follow Ekadashi Vrata, and take prasadam always, then it's offered to Lord. Then we have a good chance that we can actually go there and meet Krishna face to face. Right? Spiritual world. Na tat bhasate suryo, na sasanko, na pavakaha. Yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That's what Krishna says. That is my abode. Right? So now question for you is, what is one special feature about the spiritual world? The Lord himself gives the light. No need of sun or moon. Yeah, exactly right. You remember, I told you in one of the slides, Krishna has two eyes. One is compared to sun, one is compared to the moon. It says sun destroys, moon forgives. Wow. This is, I think, Rashmi Shenoy. Wow, that's amazing. That's really beautiful. Yes, thank you. Yes, exactly right. Okay, good. Okay, so now in Brahma Samhita also, there's one beautiful verse. It says, Chinta mani prakratatmu sukalpa vriksha laksha vrati surabir abhipalayantam lakshmi samrama manam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. What does it mean? It means that in the spiritual world, everything is full of wonders. Brahma says that it is made up of chintamani stones. That stone, you touch this mouse, it becomes a gold, right? So, and you have kalpavriksha trees, whatever you desire, whatever you want, you ask, you'll get it. Like for example, you are in the winter season, say I want a mango, you'll get a mango. All right. So whatever you desire, whatever you want, you'll get it. And there is endless surabhi cows, not just one cow. There are innumerable cows which they give you pure milk, and it is unlimited. No mixing or any kind of powders. And just not one Lakshmi Devi, thousands of Lakshmi Devi serving Lord Krishna. So this is called Goloka, full of joy, beauty, and divine bliss. So this is a place which is beyond our imagination. So we all desire that in this life, after hearing this 18 days class, we have to desire that Prabhuji was saying so much about Golok Vrindavan. We have to really go there. For going there, just follow those four things what I said you. Chant the holy name, do Tulsi worship, follow Ekadashi Vrata, and take only Krishna Prasadam. Then it will be very easy for us to reach there. Okay. Now, there's a very beautiful verse in Gita. It says, Mamai Vamsham Jiva Loki, Jiva Putta Sanatana, Manasastandrani Praksastani Karsati. That means we are all part and parcel of a Supreme Lord. But it says, that Mamai Vamsham Jiva Loki, Jiva Putta Sanatana, Manasastandriyani. We are all fragmental parts, But due to conditional life, we're struggling very hard with 6 senses, which includes mind. So remember, I said you, mind can be a best friend, can also be a worst enemy. And Arjuna himself saying to Krishna, what is saying? Chanchalavi mana Krishna pramadi balavad dridam tasyaham nigramanye mayur eva dushutaha. He says, Krishna, I can control the wind, but not the mind. Why? Mind is very chanchala, Sometimes mind says, I want this. Sometimes I want this. Why? Mind is very chanchala. This is mera marzi, it's like that, Dil mange more, give me more. Mind is like a complete, like a monkey, Have you seen a monkey sitting at one branch of a tree for a longer time? No, it keeps on hopping from one place to another place. Like that, now our mind is very chanchala, very, very chanchala. But I told you, above mind is intelligence, right? Like, for example, let's say you and me are in the 10th floor, and I say, hey, let's jump. Will you jump? Hey, you'll not laugh. You say, if I jump, I will break my legs. Who's saying? Not the mind. The intelligence is saying. That means above mind is intelligence. And above intelligence is the soul, which is Sachidananda. Correct? And I told you, the soul is Nainam Chindandit Pavakaha. Says, no, the soul cannot be cut into pieces, not not broken into the pieces, nor it can be killed. It is eternal, you know. Mriyate va kadachi. So what I'm okay, I'll tell you one story. So maybe that way you'll be able to see the Krishna's hand connecting my hand. Okay, so pay attention. Once upon a time, there was a king who was very strong. He was in the forest for hunting. He went to forest for hunting. Of course, it's very dangerous forest. But the young child, he said, Papa, Papa, I want to come with you. Father, as a king, said, No, no, you stay back. I beg you, please stay back, because I'm going for hunting. It's very risky. You stay back. Maybe next time, when you grow big, I'll take you. But the child was very stubborn. He said, No, 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 I want to come with you. He was insisting. So finally, they took him. The ministers took him. Now the king, he's hunting. While he was hunting, the king got so busy that he completely lost the track of his son. And that evening, when he came back from the forest to the kingdom, he couldn't find his son. So the ministers told the king, that it's a dangerous place here, and we must go back. Sadly, the king left the forest because he tried all the way to search for his son, but he couldn't find. Now, what happened? He had really a bad luck. He couldn't find his son. Years passed. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years passed. He couldn't get the son back. So the king always feel, a great loss. He felt, no, I should have not taken my son that day into the forest. Because of that, I don't have a son. And that longing, suppression was there. He was very disappointed. One day, what happened? One of the ministers, he went to the same forest, for hunting. He saw one hunter. He was like, his face was very glowing, not like a normal, forest man. The minister was very curious. He asked, "Who are you?" Said, "I'm a hunter. Actually, when I was a child, I was lost here. Somebody took care of me. So I'm part of this jungle. Not the jungle. What is it called? The Mowgli. Not that one. I stay in jungle. But I was lost when I was a boy. Then the minister would able to understand that, oh, this is the same child. When he was a small boy, he was lost. So then immediately, the minister was telling you, do you know who are you? You're not a hunter actually. You are actually a son of a king. You are a prince. Because now the truth is coming out. Hunter boy was, am I the son's king? The prince? Minister says, yes, you're not supposed to be in the forest and suffer like this. You are the son of a king. Let's go back to our place. So the minister took that hunter to his house, to the palace. And the king saw his son. He was like overjoyed. There was a tears in his eyes gliding. He just went and hugged his child, and he was so happy that he found him back again. So the story is very interesting, right? But what do we learn from this? Pay attention. The king is now compared to a Lord Krishna, and the prince is compared to the soul. The prince is the hunter whom he lost, initially the boy. Is compared to a soul. And the forest is compared to the material world. And what you say? And the hunter's house where this boy was staying for 20 days was a place which is temporary, like a hotel. And the minister who actually found that boy, is compared to a guru, who reminded that no, you are not an ordinary person, you are the same child, of the king. That means same child of the God. So you belong to the spiritual world. You belong to this, kingdom, palace. You come back. So right now, we are all suffering here because we have forgotten our real home, our real father. And that is why, Krishna, through his teachers, is helping us to connect us back to the spiritual world, to return to the place where we have left and came. That is our eternal happiness. So this bhakti process, is an embassy for a spiritual world. And this Bhagavad Gita is like a passport. So when we have an embassy for spiritual world, when you have a passport, it's very obvious. We just don't have only one thing. What is that? Visa. Yeah. To get the visa, what do we have to do? Can someone tell me in the chat box what we have to do to get the visa? We know that, if we wanted to go to the spiritual world, the embassy of spiritual world, we have the passport with us. We don't have the visa to go. So what is that visa? Okay, somebody's replying me. I'll just check. Wow, fantastic. Vaishnavi says, Bhakti Yoga, surrender to Krishna, chanting the holy name, chant the Mahamantra. Okay, yeah. Can someone tell me what are the 4 things we should do? Tulsi Puja. Okay, one is Tulsi Puja. Daily serving the lotus feet. Okay. Tulsi Puja, chanting the Mahamantra. And what else? 2 more things are there. Can someone tell me? Prasadam, eat only prasadam. One more is missing. Ekadashi Vrata, fantastic. Yes, Haribol. Yeah, exactly right. So then it will become very easy for us. Okay, thank you. I'm very delighted. Okay, so now here we could see Krishna is saying, let us awaken to a true identity and life will be very blissful. A conscious decision and Krishna is enough. So what does it mean? When we realize that our soul is eternal and I belong to Krishna, then life becomes very easy, very joyful. And because of that, you can say that I belong to Krishna. And that becomes the pages of transformation. That becomes the steps of transformation. Because generally what happens, people do not have this knowledge. They think, I am American, I am an Indian, I am Chotu, I am Motu, whatever, I am black, I am boy, I am girl, they think like this. But nobody knows that I am that soul. So this is very important knowledge that Gita is providing us. Right? So here it says, Shariram it apnoti chapi utkramatishvara grihavetani samyati vayur gandhan ishvasat. So it says the living entity in the material world carries these different conceptions of life from one body to another, and the air carries aroma. Thus, he takes one kind of body, again quits to the other one. Okay, what does it mean? I'll tell you. See, if we don't follow the Lord's instruction, we stay in this material world, which is temporary. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita in this verse, it says, the soul keeps on moving from one body to another, like the air carrying the smell. Right? So we carry our desire and take birth, again take birth. That means we are carrying a desire to the next body. So what is the difference? The difference is the material world, there is a repeated birth and death. But in the spiritual world, no death. It's full of peace and joy. So that's why if you want to escape the cycle of this birth, death, old age, disease, then we have to follow Krishna's guidance. Then it will be very easy. I'll give you a classic example. It says wheel of incarnation. Of course, I'll explain you what is incarnation, what is reincarnation. I'll explain you that. But let me tell you, this slide talks about taking so many births again and again. Now, you're young, you become youth, you become old, you get disease, again you take birth, again. There is a cycle. That's why, I think it was one of the acharyas. They says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathar sayanam, Ihe samsara bahodostare, kripaya pare pahi murare. So the meaning of this is again and again one is born, again and again one dies. and again, one sleeps in the womb of a mother, and the endless cycle of birth and death is very difficult to cross. So, oh Krishna, please protect me with your mercy. So, what I'm trying to express in this slide is that suffering of this repeated birth and death, samsara keeps happening. But when we call out Krishna's name, then we have a great chance for liberation. Ajamila, he chanted accidentally, Narayana, he said. Then what happened? Instead of Yamadutas, Vishnudutas came and took care of him. All right. That's why, and many also have this question: what is incarnation? What is reincarnation? All right. So this is a simple definition, I would say. So when it comes to incarnation, it refers to Paramatma taking different avatars. Remember, I explained to this, three things, three Vishnus coming from Balram. Remember, I told you about Karundeya Vishnu, Garbhodaya Vishnu, Shudaya Vishnu. Shudaya Vishnu is as a Paramatma. Yeah. What has happened? Not as a Paramatma. Yeah, exactly. Like because the longer discussion. So Lord takes different avatars, right? It says in everybody's heart. It takes different avatars. So you see here, we can see Krishna taking avatar of Lord Ram, Parashuram, or different things. So what I'm trying to explain you is that incarnation means it refers to a divine being like Lord Rama or Lord Krishna, but you see there are different avatars, but taking a human form on earth for a specific purpose. Usually, out of compassion, voluntary, Lord comes. Why? Because wherever there is a decline of religion, Lord comes to uphold the dharma. Right? That is about incarnation. But what about reincarnation? We have heard a lot, right? Reincarnation. Actually, reincarnation means it is a repeated cycle of birth and death that all living beings they go through, based on their karma. See, while incarnation, it's a one time, it's a divine appearance. Whereas the reincarnation, the soul continuously passes the journey through different bodies until it gets liberation. And I'm sure you all know that there are many such stories we have, about reincarnation. Somebody could remember the past life because of their karma. So this is called reincarnation. And don't think that it is a fantasy. If you go to YouTube, uh, just like of course somebody is saying Buddha, Matsya, Kurma. That's all avatars. That's right. So if you go to YouTube, just type reincarnations, stories. You'll come to know there are so many incidents. There's one small boy. He knows his current family's family, and they're all grown up big. So he's telling she is my wife and he's my son. They're all grown up, and there's a small chotu. You know why? Because in previous life he was his father. He was a short gunshot. If you go to YouTube and just type, reincarnation stories, life stories, they will show you exactly the whole video, where this boy was staying, where he is now, how it happened, everything. So we have to believe that reincarnation does happen. It's not just a theory. Remember, we spoke about the Darwin theory that we all came from monkeys? No, we all never came from monkeys. We all came from our father and mother. Right? So many things, we don't believe. We just go with some kind of, some kind of source like Facebook, media. But Shastras are the real mother. That's why I told you, if you want to know Father, Supreme God, Krishna, you have to approach Mother. That is Shastras. Okay. That is what the difference between incarnation and reincarnation. Okay, I'll not take much time. I think we just have 45 minutes, sorry, 3 minutes to go. So Lord Krishna is also a caretaker. How does we know this? See, it says, I enter into each planet and my energy stays in orbit. I become the moon and they will supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So Krishna is saying that I enter each planet and become the moon and giving the taste of all food. So whatever juicy food you see, it's all because of the moon. All right. And look at this wonderful example. I'll tell you a story. Maybe you can easily understand this. See, once in a small village, there was a speaker who was giving a class saying, whatever happens, it's all about God's arrangement. So he said, my dear friends, we may think we are doing everything, but actually, God is the one who provides our food. So some person was listening now, he became very angry, annoyed because he was very working hard. He said, what is this? I work every day so hard, I earn the money, I buy the rice, I go, I cook, I eat, where does God come in the picture? I sweat very hard, everything is my hard work. And he's saying, God does everything. This is cheating. The next day, the same person, was doing his job, So he was breaking some stones, So from a very small stone, he saw a frog just jumping up. And I was wondering, how come, man, a small frog in the stone, how was it possible? Then he could see there was a small bubble of water. Then he could realize, oh my God, that is true. Even such a small place, small drop of water, in the middle of the stone, I could see a frog jumping. That means God has arranged the food and water for that frog. That means God is everywhere and He is the source of everything. So he sat down and he deeply thought. Then there was a voice coming from his heart, said, who get the rain? So who get the grain? For that we need to have a rain, right? For the rain, we need to have sun and the shine. How does the clouds water must evaporate? Because to have the sunshine, it evaporates. And if you see, the whole system is created by God. If you want to have a rain, it doesn't just come like that. There are clouds, right? And it evaporates, That's how the rain comes. So everything is systematically managed by the Lord, So, but here, there is no man-made concept. Even the sun is not made by a scientist, They, whatever we look around, you see birds are eating, animals are grazing, fish are swimming. None of them, have jobs, but still they are doing their thing, So who's feeding them? There's no companies, there's no factories. It's God who's managing everything. That's why He's a caretaker. So yes, we must work, but food is not earned by me alone. It's arranged by the Lord, and He maintains the world. That's what I'm trying to say again and again. So the what we can understand from this slide is that ultimately Lord Krishna is a maintainer. He maintains everything. So we have to recognize this, and we have to have the gratitude, respect. That's how we said, when you respect somebody, you should say thank you. So one of the ways to say thank you to Krishna is whatever you eat, first offer to him. And then say thank you. Because that becomes prasad. So now I know this is a little bit philosophical thing, but I want to know whether you understood or not. So I have a question for you. Who, who ultimately provides food and maintains all living beings? Yeah, it is Lord Krishna, it is Bhagavan, it is God. It says that once, see, God is a caretaker. He is the light of the sun. He takes care of the planets. He nourishes the herbs, vegetables. He is a digestive. So I'll tell you a nice story. Actually, one day, one boy asked a grandfather. He said, Tata, our grandfather, how does food grow? And why do we feel hungry? Why do we eat? Grandfather was very smart. He smiled and said, come, I'll show you. He said, see, he pointed a very bright sun and said, see, beta, the sun, Krishna gives the light. And that light helps the plant grow. Then he showed a lot of vegetables, herbs, gardens. He said, you know what? Krishna nourishes these herbs. Without sunlight, of course, no sunlight, no rain, nothing would grow. So that means we're depending on the Lord. And then he touched his boy's stomach, belly. He said, even inside your stomach also, Krishna becomes the fire of digestion. That's how you can eat and get a lot of energy. And the boy blinked like this. And then Krishna is everything. That's what he came to a conclusion. And the father and the grandfather said, yes, Krishna is both outside and inside the sun. That's what the grandfather laughed, So exactly, Krishna is silently doing his thing, everything, helping the sun to shine, making the plants to grow, and even making our stomach, to digest. So we have the nice food, we walk sometimes. We take some banana and we walk. Why? We get the digestion. Krishna is the source of digestive fire. So what I'm meant to convey here is that everything around, inside, whatever, it is Lord's divine energy. Even if you don't see him, but he is doing that work. You have to be very grateful to him. Okay. What are the life lesson we have? The awareness that we are dependent on Krishna for everything gives a great, yeah, exactly right. So you should never say, I am independent. No, I am not independent. Why? Because what we learn from the story, that see, for example, I will say I am not independent. I don't need any, I cannot say. Why? Because right now I'm sitting in the class, So when I feel very hot, what I do? I turn on the fan. Right now the fan is going on. Because of that, I feel a little relaxed. Now, who's providing the wind? It's Krishna only. For example, you want to eat food, who gives the sun? Who provides the rain? Who provides the oil, soil? It grows. Who provides? It's God. Right? You want to breathe, who's giving the oxygen? Corona time, there was no oxygen. People had a great challenge. People used to buy oxygen. But now Krishna is giving everything free of cost. So we should not, see, when you cannot create anything, we should at least be very grateful to the Lord who's giving all these things at free of cost. That's why we should understand this. That first you become very humble, be grateful, instead of being very proud, thinking, I did everything, So we should start realizing that Krishna is maintaining everything for us. So the real intelligence is to know that I am not dependent on Krishna. That means real independence is dependence on Krishna. So here it says, Sarvasya chaham vriti sannivisto matta smriti gnanam apaham cha vedasya sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit veda with eva chaham. So Krishna is saying, I am seated in everybody's heart. From me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. Wow. Krishna is saying this from Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna maintains not just the body, but also mind and soul. Even our memory also. Memory, forgetfulness, Krishna only takes care. Krishna himself declares, that I give you the forgetfulness. This means even the sometimes we forget. It's not a defective, because it's a Krishna's divine mercy. Imagine if you remember every insult, every trauma, every failure, life would be very unbearable. Because Krishna has given this forgetfulness, we have this mental peace to heal, and we able to go forward. You see, in the case of Bharat Maharaj, he became over attached to the deer and he was reborn once again. But because he did some spiritual advancement, Krishna gave the remembrance in the past life that you become a deer, So now don't think of deer. Krishna only gives the remembrance. Krishna only does the forgetfulness. Just imagine if Krishna will not give forgetfulness, how much trauma we'll be having, we'll be confused, we don't know who's our last mother, who's what's happened, because we remember everything now. That failed, that insult, the accident. Oh my God, you feel like trembling. Should be very grateful to Krishna that he gave us the divine mercy that we can forget. See, when somebody dies also, they'll cry for how many days? 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5. Let's say they cry for 1 month. After that, they will not cry. They'll forget. That's how it works. Okay. I'll explain you how it works. See, forgetfulness is God's mercy. It saves us from many suffering. If we never forget pain, we would suffer forever. So forgetfulness is a Krishna's mercy that helps us to go on. So Krishna says is the sustainer of body, mind, and the soul. I'll give you an analogy. The pain of a physical wound and emotional wounds. Say when we get injured ourselves, the pain also goes, it fades away with time, Imagine if you have the perfect memory of all the emotional wounds that you had. Oh my God. Every heartbreak, insult, failure will be frozen with pain, because this forgetfulness is like a mental anesthesia. Remember anesthesia? It's like that. So it's a divine gift by the Lord. That's why sometimes children, when you want to give a painful injection, the child cries during the vaccination, but forgets very soon and goes on playing. Right? So what I meant to say is, if that memory stays vivid, then we all fear all the doctors of life, because they do operation right now, we feel that pain. Similarly, God's mercy, He allows us to forget all the painful events so that we can pursue growth and joy. You see how amazing this God, He knows what is best for us. That's why these things you know only from Bhagavad Gita. It says, Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita and all his instructions that we're not this body, we are soul. So all this is to understand from Bhagavad Gita. A lot of examples, I would say. In Kali Yuga, people struggle to understand Vedas. So Krishna just gave this Gita Upanishad, that is Bhagavad Gita. So when you read such scriptures, what happens? The soul get nourished. And because of that, no, you become very peaceful. Body, mind, soul, they become very peaceful. In that way, many things you can achieve. That's why we are in just 1 or 2 slides. We are almost done. Okay. So the life lesson is when we do something for others, we expect to be praised. But when do something for us, somebody does something for us, we think it's their duty. But yet, God does everything without any expectation. That is His unconditional love. All right? This very profound statement, amazing actually. So, what we can understand from here is that this sloka talks about fallible and infallible. I'll read the translation. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. What does it mean, fallible, infallible? Actually, fallible means who makes mistakes, who is always wrong. Like, for example, as a human, we have 4 defects, right? We make mistake, we're an illusion, we cheat, and we have imperfect senses, right? So fallible means we make mistake. Just simpler term. Infallible means, what do I say? It's opposite. Like he doesn't make any mistakes. He's always correct, trustworthy. So Krishna is infallible because he never makes mistakes. Whatever he does the best. That's why if you read Bhagavad Gita, you can understand that all living beings who live in this material world, they are subject to birth, death, old age, disease. That is, we are fallible, right? But Krishna, Vishnu is beyond this illusion. He never makes mistakes and is eternal. Of course, soul also is eternal, but the body that we perceive, that is temporal. That's why very important to understand the living beings. One who falls, always wanting to experience solitude in a physical world, is fallible. A person who does not fail, desire to remain always with Krishna and never leave spiritual world is fallible. So understand very simple, two kinds of beings. Two kinds of beings. What is that? Fallible. Forgets Krishna, try to enjoy separately from Krishna. That is fallible. Infallible, spiritual world. What is it? Always wants to connect with Krishna. These two things is important to understand. All right. And finally, we have reached the last sloka of today's chapter 15. What does it says? It says, Yasmaksharam atitho aham aksharat api chotamaha atosmi loke veda cha pratiha purushottamaha. Because I am transcendental, beyond both fallible and infallible, and because I am greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Krishna is beyond both. That's why he's a Purushottama. Remember, I gave you one name. I love that name. It's called Akilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. That is Krishna. All right. So Krishna says he's beyond both the material and spiritual beings because he is the supreme and he's been glorified both in this world and in the Vedas. That is what I want to conclude today, saying how Krishna is so glorious. So today we'll have a quick review what we discussed in chapter 15, the Yoga of Supreme God. So this chapter explains about how we are all have been trapped in this material world like a tree with a deep roots. So when we turn ourselves towards Krishna, then we can understand that the source of everything. Then we can cut our attachment and reach the spiritual world. Knowing Krishna is the key for freedom and also true happiness. So I give you the first slide that showed you how Krishna is saying, that this world is like a tree with the roots upward and the branches downward. That means this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. If you want to find real peace and joy, then we have to go back to our original home. That is a spiritual world. And thus ends chapter 15, entitled as the Yoga of Supreme Person. So tomorrow, we will speak about the divine and the demonic nature. If you want to rise above fear, pride, anger, tomorrow's class is the best, because tomorrow we can cultivate all these divine qualities, because to know what is divine and demonic, which nature is dominating you. You will come to know, am I demonic or am I divine? What nature you have? That I'll try to bring it out. So don't miss tomorrow's class, because Krishna helps us to identify and also transform our inner nature. Okay. Spiritual growth starts with a self-awareness. So this chapter 16, that's divine and demonic nature, helps us to recognize what we can actually embrace and what to overcome. So please do not miss tomorrow's class.